Before I start this video, let me just say, I'm really interested in what everyone's saying about Jude Bellingham, what the feeling at every club is, be that Real Madrid, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, whatever, about getting Jude Bellingham. If you've got a take on Jude Bellingham and you think you know where Jude Bellingham is going, put it down in the comments below, and we're going to go through some of these takes in January because it's only going to hot up as that winter meeting between Real Madrid, Liverpool, Dortmund, and Man City goes on, and people go, well, will he get done in January? We don't know. But we know that Jude will move. If you're interested in truth, stick around. If you're not, get out. Get out. Go on. Because get out. Close the door. Because Jude Bellingham is very much on the market right now, and the very top European sides are interested in him. This is the perfect opportunity to evaluate whether Jude Bellingham actually wants to go to your club and whether your inherent biases are getting in the way of everything else that is going on in football. That was pretty compelling for an opening pitch, right? Well, a number of big clubs are making compelling pitches to Jude Bellingham right now. That's right. Jude Bellingham is meeting with Liverpool, Manchester City, Real Madrid, possibly even Chelsea, and a wider number of clubs that maybe we don't even know about. Do you know why? Because there might be a club in there that makes a compelling pitch to Jude that says, hey, we're the club that are going to go here, here, and here. And these are the promises that we can make. Of course, it isn't just about the promises that the club make. It is also about everything else around that. But what do we know about everything else around that? What is it that Jude Bellingham is seeing that we are not? What are we seeing that is probably a lie? Probably quite a lot of it, to be honest. I mean, let's face it. All the headlines in recent days, and this is a great example of this, have been Liverpool, Real Madrid. Where's the mention of Man City? All the people that I know who seem to have good information seem to think that Man City are just equally as viable for Jude Bellingham, if not more so than Liverpool and Real Madrid. The reason people have been so dismissive, of course, of Real Madrid is because weirdly, again, the narrative in the media is, well, Jude Bellingham wants to go to England. I don't know if we've actually ever really heard that from Jude. Ever. I know that he might want to play there at some point in his career, but I don't know if his next move is to England. It's interesting. The other side of it is, of course, Jude Bellingham has a father who is allegedly a Liverpool fan. Of course, emotionally, there are huge, I guess, I don't even want to say income. There are huge influences within football, which would be emotional, right? Like having an emotional link to a club is so important. Becoming a legend there is so, so important. Being, I don't know, like someone who goes down in history with that club is huge. You could be that for Liverpool, Man City, Real Madrid, you become a weird footnote in everything that's ever happened. But, when you go to Man City, you're equally likely to now make history. It's just that you're not going to have that link to the old history. So the level of rose-tinted glassesness that you get and nostalgia that everyone around it does will be less, right? Because Man City are seen as this modern-day 21st century behemoth. But in however many years Man City have been owned by whoever you think they're owned by, they have moved away from that original mercenary, we only buy players who want money sort of perception, and they're getting towards a more authentic level of perception here. Mainly because other owners in that time have come out and been terrible. Other people have witnessed that, well, the more people who come in with big money, the more we just see that football is getting away from these people anyway. We partly have to just accept the reality of the situation here, or what's actually going on is that football is being taken over by rich people, and that in order for your club to compete, if you even have a link or a feeling of emotion towards your club anymore, you have to, invest in these big people. All I'm saying is, while we're busy saying Jude Bellingham is only invested in Liverpool or Real Madrid because those have the most tantalizing offers to us, what we're overlooking is that every click that you have and every moment where you're excited on your phone and you're going, yeah, we're definitely getting him, he's going to X. What you're really being there is clickbaited. Man City don't get clicks, really, in reality. So Liverpool and Real Madrid are the two biggest names on there. Of course, you're going to go, I'll click that. Real Madrid hate Liverpool hate Real Madrid. The fans want to get one over on the other fans. And of course, Liverpool think we're beating up hitting up on the big boy in the game. Real Madrid thinks, well, we're getting one over on another club that hate us anyway, and we're Real Madrid. No one's going to click Real Madrid meet Man City to a signing, unless, of course, there is a headline that Man City are going to get him. And you know why there are no headlines that Man City are going to get him? Because very few people know what's really going on in the industry right now. These ITKs, these are people who are getting third-party things from different people. These people who say, well, clubs are talking right now. Yeah, but everyone's talking. Like, Liverpool are probably going to meet Dortmund in January because they're going to try and convince them to sell in January. So will Man City. So will Real Madrid. So will Chelsea. So will Manchester United if they were still in it. But this is where we can take off a couple of names off the list, right? I get it. Like, it's the teams who have put some groundwork in as far as we know, because I'm here to talk about what we really know. Apparently there are clubs who have put a lot of groundwork in with Jude Bellingham and his family, and that those people who have witnessed the groundwork say that Liverpool have made a very compelling bid to the point where last season Jude were very close to signing for Liverpool. We don't know that, but apparently it was on. Then the other side, of course, is that Man City also make a very compelling case for moving to Man City. Of course they would. Their compelling case, which our biases inherently dial out if we're Liverpool fans, is we can guarantee you Champions League football for the next couple of years. We can guarantee you will be competitive at least for a Premier League title, though this season that may be being undermined, and it's possibly the worst time for that to happen, though they are still very competitive. And we can also guarantee that you will be in that midfield, which is moving certain players on. We have a very thin or small squad right now. You come into it, we will build around you. You will be a huge part of that. See Kevin De Bruyne, see X, see how well Rodri's doing. You will be so key to us. In the same way as we've brought Haaland in, a good friend of yours, Jude, and we've built around him. We've made him the focus of the side, and look at him. He's a machine now. We've taken him up levels, and people didn't even know those levels would exist. By the way, all those football experts, all the other people, maybe I'm even included in that, didn't even see how well Haaland would do at this point. Do you know why? It's similar to the Jude Bellingham situation. Haaland will have had a very private pitch in which he is told X, Y, Z is going to happen. And by the way, this isn't similar to a normal job here. This is tactics he's going to be talking about. This is how regularly he will play. This is talking to Pep and saying, what way do you see me playing? Because the player wants to know when they get to a club, they're going to be happy, which is why Liverpool also feel confident in getting him. You know why? Because Jude Bellingham will have had a very, very compelling Jurgen Klopp pitch at some point, and other people around Jurgen as well. But don't get me wrong, the same will happen on the other side, which is why, in the first place, Erling Haaland took all of that out and went, I'm just going to go for a points-based system. It was based on how regularly he get Champions League football, how well the club would embed him into the team, so how much of a need was there for Erling Haaland at the club. And then there were other factors in there. We don't know the other factors, but I know those were two factors within the list. Jude Bellingham is apparently doing a similar thing, or at least very close, which takes a lot of the emotion out. Although you've got to admit, those two things were quite subjective and based on kind of what will happen going forward. So even then you could say maybe he had biases in judging how regularly that would happen. All I'm saying is, while we're busy sort of going, our biases are the correct ones, there are other biases which influence these other people, right? And I get it, like Liverpool might not have Champions League football in the coming years, but then there are emotional elements to this. Liverpool apparently have the edge in that they have put a lot of groundwork in there. They have put the groundwork in to get Jude because they've, for a very long time, been pursuing him. People have said what a great player is to his face, but also they've met families, they've met agents, they've met all these different people and gone, we're interested. And apparently that counts for something in the football world. Because it isn't, again, just about the behind-the-scenes stuff that goes on where it's like, yeah, we're going to make you a billionaire, kid. It's actually like, you know what? Are you going to be happy at this team for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years? Because Jude will bed into whatever side it is. The likelihood of him then going to another side in the Premier League immediately, extremely low, of course, if he does go to a Liverpool or a Man City and he's not happy there. But of course, success is also part of this, right? What can Liverpool guarantee in the next couple of years? They were competing on all four fronts last season and won the least of the two fronts that people probably would have wanted. I know people are going to go, you're a snob, whatever, but if you're Liverpool, your aspiration is the Premier League and the Champions League. If you're Jude Bellingham, it's similar. If Liverpool are barely in the Champions League this season or are just about making it, would you believe you can push them maybe over the edge? Or would you believe that therefore there is a need for you in that midfield? There is a way of skewing both of these in positives and negatives. If Jurgen's meeting with Jude, he goes, yeah, Look at that midfield. You fit in there perfectly. Imagine what we could do. But at the same time, Jude's also saying, you've got a lot of good players. What are you doing with them? Anyway, you're also then talking about the owners. Man City will have consistent investment over the next 10 years. Liverpool, we don't know what their investment will be over the next 10 years. We know some of the players were sometimes unhappy about the investment. Real Madrid, we know there will be consistent investment. But what we also know is that if a player is not liked at the club or is on the outs, they just get cast aside or put somewhere else. Gareth Bale was a huge amount of money. That wouldn't fill me with confidence if I was a great player there. You also become a bit of a footnote in their history, right? So you want to play a significant emotional and public role within a big side. Man City and Liverpool, therefore, are the two sides to do that, mainly because if Bellingham goes to Real Madrid, where does he fit into that midfield? Is there a consistent need for him that marks them down on the point system? As far as I know. Alongside that, you've also got this whole perception thing that I can talk about the NBA experience and big transfers or big trades. When Kevin Durant was in Oklahoma City with the Thunder, he was part of an equivalent to Dortmund almost. They were hugely talented with lots and lots of potential and fitted in together really, really well. Very good friends, close family feeling at that time. They were competing with the big boys because they had these young talents, because they were hungry for whatever it was that they were doing and going and where they were getting it. But then it all fell apart when the big boys consistently came along and kept beating them. So they moved all those players on. Some of these players had choices to make. Some of them moved to teams where they were building around them. Other teams like Kevin Durant and players like Kevin Durant moved to Golden State. The reason you know the name Golden State, if you're not a football fan, is Steph Curry is there. They've built somewhat of a modern day dynasty, though some people wouldn't describe it as a dynasty. They've built a very solid franchise, should we say. And it guaranteed him, relatively, a title. It also guaranteed that for the next 10 years, he would be called a chip chaser or someone who basically went to a place and then didn't really win his own thing. He won it because the team was already great. So with that, what do you then do? Well, the frustrating aspect, I guess, if you're Jude Bellingham is you will care about perception. You will care about your legacy. The legacy being your mark in football. If you do that with Liverpool, there is something extremely special that Jurgen has spoken about. If you do that with Man City, there is something extremely special, but it's different to the Liverpool legacy. In wider football, people see it differently. And the politics of now should not dominate the politics of the long term. Does that make sense? Because things will change around the perception of Man City. The perception of Liverpool will also change. So, what I'm saying within that is, people are currently playing on people's biases. There are many, many biases, should we say. And the clickbait articles, the videos, all these things, and I've got you to click on this video because it's Jude Bellingham, but I've done it because I want to have an honest conversation. Let me know where you think Jude Bellingham goes. Like I said, let me know. I'll be interested to see what you think and the narratives that are being put out there about Jude right now. All we really know is Jude Bellingham is going to go to another club next summer. We know that because we know that Dortmund have said that. We know that people admire him. We also know that someone is ahead in the race. We're just not quite sure who it is yet. So let me know in the comments below what you think, where you think Jude will go. There are plenty of other equivalencies of great players going to great places, but what Jude will be very careful of is coming into a Cristiano Ronaldo type transfer, right? Where you get in, you think it is one way, and then it is something else. He'll want to do his due diligence on this because he's committing the first half of his very significant career to a big Premier League team or possibly a big side, right? The second half, he can still go away and do that Kevin Durant stuff of winning the Champions League and chips and all those other things somewhere else because his talent will still be there. Maybe he'll get an injury, sure, we don't know. But if you're planning out your 10/15 year career, it's, you've got two halves to it almost. Maybe your team can convince you to stay. But initially, we're getting 6-7 years, maybe even 5, out of Jude Bellingham. Similar with Haaland. Haaland, so happy at Man City now, he just wants to stay. Great. Throw the guy a new contract. That will be the hope at whatever club gets Jude. Let me know in the comments below and I'll chat to you guys later. Much love. Bye.